Another co-working edition. We are continuing to do our OIDC setup on Keycloak. Mandatory disclaimer at the beginning of every video. This video is dense. It wanders all over. It is me co-working on the clock in some cases. In this case today, yes. And it is messy. This is not, if you want to watch it, it's long. So don't watch it if you don't want to be bored. If you do watch it, fast forward it. Maybe you'll find some tips or clues in there. It's designed, the reason I make these videos on YouTube is so that you can put it on and just listen to it for maybe ideas or company while you're doing something else. I'll try to talk through everything and we'll take regular breaks. That's it. Do the like and subscribe thing if you want to the other videos. Beginner Boost tomorrow is 11 o'clock. Every Saturday at 11 o'clock, we have a Beginner Boost, which is designed to get people started in Linux terminal command line careers, whatever they are. All right, so as we get going on this, we're going to pick up to where we left off. Let's just recap where we were. Yesterday we went through a bunch of failure trying to get localized Minikube and Kind to work, so that we could have kind of a stand-up, quickly stood up, Kubernetes cluster to do our testing in. That turned out to be the sticking point on a local Windows machine running Podman desktop. Mostly because of WSL2 complaints and the Minikube backer that we chose to use. We were trying to use Podman as a backer, which is experimental in both Kind and Minikube, which is reason enough to not use Podman if you're going to use Kind or Minikube. That was a really big discovery for me. I thought that it would be more supported than that. It is not. So what we did is we scrambled, and I just reconfigured a gateway to machine and connected this into my local LAN of DHCP reserved addresses. And this stuff's all going to get reimaged as Red Hat Enterprise. I mentioned right now it's a Ubuntu server. And so I just used NetApp apply and changed I actually forgot to do the gateway at first, so I couldn't touch the internet. So we've got HPC 640 talking. It's got all kinds of resources. We've got Minikube installed on there, and we were able to run the Minikube development version of Keycloak in Podman on this server after we installed Podman on there. Not a Podman desktop. This is an actual Linux server. So we put Podman, and we put Minikube, and Minikube used the default backer of KVM, which is the biggest virtual machine engine on the planet right now. And so we're nice and stable. Then we're facing off against new challenges today. The first challenge is to get HTTPS. So the end goal here is to be able to write a keylogin tool that will use an OIDC provider, get the token. We're actually going to use the deprecated grant type equals password for today and see if it works. And we're also going to compare it to other options there. But we're going to use that one first because that's the one I need to get done. And we're going to, the main task, the main accomplishment will be to enable the OIDC library within Keylogin to use TLS validation against the OIDC provider, which cannot be done without a certificate. So yesterday we left by learning a little bit about Keycloak certificates and how to set that up. This is a Keycloak server we're signed into at the ASI address, but you see is it's not secure, which means it's not HTTPS because it's a development server. So that's where we are. We're trying to figure out how to get that. And we started studying. We were able to, by the way, install Minikube from the command line using apt install and stuff. Actually, no, I used my login script. I used kubectl. We did a kubectl login install script. I have a nice, cool install script for that. And Minikube was from apt install Minikube, if I remember right. And Podman was apt install Podman. So there we go. That's a full review of what we did yesterday in a nutshell. We don't need Kind up anymore. We don't need the quick start for the boost anymore. And this is YouTube channel content. We can close that. Yeah, so what do we got here? We've got, do I have a domain you control? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to just use home.rwxrob.gg, which is a domain that I control at home. that's been the domain in the past that I've used on my OpenSense router. Um, so I'm gonna do that, but that'll help us get our certificates and be able to hand over the certificates, generate for host name and point it to the keycloaks IP. Yeah. What I want to know is, will the certificates resolve if they use, will they use if they use if I use Etsy host for my domain name? Will they still count? I assume so, as long as Etsy host is on. You see what I'm saying? So let me actually try that. Let me see if I can get my generic host name to work. Um, so yeah, I mean that's the top level domain. Yeah, I still think I want to have it be home. Yeah, that'd be my internal server. So let's play around with some of that stuff right now. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm gonna fire up another. I'm gonna try to see if I can get my domain to use without setting up a full domain controller. I mean domain thing. This is a long shot, but we'll try it. Put it on not put it in the public DNS, because the public DNS. Well, I mean, I could just put it as a CNAME or something, but then it would be to an independent IP address, right? It's pointing to an internal IP address. That's the point. Does that make sense? Out on the internet, I might want to have it point someplace else. I might want to have it point to my home system if I were going to do that. I'm never going to do that though. I'm just going to do tunnels. So I probably get away with that. Yeah. But I again, it's all I need it for is the purposes of what I want to know is what DNS resolution stack does it use resolve? Do you know what I'm saying? I'm wondering what resolution is going to happen to. You have host names pointing to, yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, if we do that, then we'll be absolutely sure that it's going to work. You know what I mean? This one's probably not going to work. Yeah. Because you can't resolve it. Yeah. But then I have to wait for DNS to propagate. I don't know how long it's going to take. It might take up a full day. So, yeah. Let me try that. We can't do anything else with the certs until we do that anyway. So, let me try that. That's a good idea, because then I can set it up as a root CA and then I can reuse it all over the place internally. So I like that idea. I like that idea. Now, I might have to change it over time and reissue the certificate, because I don't want to keep the 192 address, obviously. It's too limited, but I could do that. Let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna create a root CA. Now I could use an existing one if I wanted to. CA, but I don't. I'm simulating creating my own root CA. So, let's see. I'm gonna have to turn you guys off for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and pause YouTube. YouTube, I'm gonna go get my DNS set up from externally. I don't want to show you how I do that. So I use DigitalOcean as a DNS provider. Actually, I have three different DNS providers, but it's my main one. I recommend it. I'm not going to show you how to do that because I'd be doxing a lot of stuff about my infrastructure. So I'm going to go take care of that really fast. I'll be right back. So thank you for waiting around, YouTube. Split second fix here. So a friend in the chat, LBG, recommended that I actually register an internal IP address on 92.168.1.200 as on the external domain provider for rwx.gg, which in my case is Netlify, that's public information that can be found by any kind of DNS resolver. So I can now ping home.rwx.gg, which has been permanently assigned the 200. Now remember, I'm on this is Git Bash on a Windows machine, so I can now SSH directly into that domain and it knows where it is, and I can use that domain without having to update host entries or anything like that. I do have host entries for HPC 640, but the thing that's nice about that is that I now have an actual, propagated DNS record that's using, which therefore will make any of the certs I use and stuff like that more realistic. So I am going to create a root CA for that domain, and I, to be completely honest, have not done that since 1998 for Nike. So I am back then we used VeriSign. So I don't know how. I'm going to do a little research on this. And I mean, creating your own root CA is not something you do every day. Some people might, but not me. So anyway, we're gonna do a little bit of research here, and so I actually have two Windows terminals. I have one that's on my local machine running Podman containers to do my research and note taking, and another terminal that's also got tmush running that is logged into my server, my home.rdbx.gg server. So we're gonna go look at that. LBG says that they have a script to generate an LA search from Let's Encrypt, which is probably the place to go do this. But I am going to do a little research on my own to figure out best way to create a root CA. Best way to create root CA at home. This is kind of a distraction from the main task at hand, but it's stuff I need to remind myself how to do. Obviously, we deal with CAs every day, all day. There's always the question about whether to use OpenSSL. There's like a ton of tools for doing this. And by the way, this is necessary if you want to set up your own on-prem Kubernetes, so I need to do it anyway, which is why I'm investing the time, a little bit extra time. And as work hours go, Friday is the day that our company allocates learning time. So me reminding myself how to do a root CA is totally billable. Generate self-signed certificate with a custom CA. Generate certificate with the CSR and the key, and sign it with the CA's root key. So that's what I need. I need to generate a CA root key, not a self-signed cert. Can I be a certificate authority for my local network? Make sure to keep the files in a secure place and make their backups. Get the PEM files. Is your root certificate, and it will be used to sign all other certificates. Verify, etc., etc. And some people might say, well, do you really want to expose your root CA, your root cert to the world? For that, I mean, there is a situation where if I were to use this certificate change, this is already recorded. Yeah, this is already it goes on YouTube. We're making YouTube videos. Yeah, so so I'm just pausing right now to evaluate how much of this I want to be public. If I create a root cert for my root CA based on that domain, which points to an internal IP address, then the only way that could be, I mean, it's definitely true that other people could sign stuff as my root cert if I make it public on the stream right now. They could definitely sign this stuff, but they definitely wouldn't be able to use it for TLS or anything like that unless their DNS names were set up to resolve to different locations, right? So, and that could be spoofed. I mean, somebody could create a root CA out on the internet that points to my domain name, but uses a different IP address. But I'm not aware of any situation, because this is mostly just for TLS determination. If I was going to use certs that come out of this to do cert-based authentication to Kubernetes, for example, internally, then assuming someone broke into my network, that would allow them to get access to the network if they could spoof and create their own certs from it. So, as a general rule, however, making the content, the encoded X509 certificate content, available to the internet for your root CA is a big freaking no-no. You would have to reissue an entire CA root certificate. A lot of people don't even keep this thing available online at all. Some institutions, I've heard, actually never store it online. They use it to sign some top level domain certificates, and then they sign everything with those. And then the root CA exists only offline, with a disconnected hard drive storage, and sometimes just straight up, printing it out, because if somebody can sign intermediate certs in the chain using your root CA, they can impersonate you, right? So I am kind of weighing the risk to myself by using a root CA for anything. I mean, right now I'm just using it because I want to do this TLS thing. I don't want to overthink it, but and I can always just throw it away and use another one. That's not a big deal. And I don't plan on using cert-based authentication for anything right now. Like when we generate SSH keys, stuff like that, they don't involve this unless we're doing SSH authentication using X509 certs, which I'm not doing. I know I don't like CFSSL. No, I'm not using it. We have this debate every year, and I don't want to use it. I don't. So somebody in the chat, I won't say who, recommended that we use CFSSL, which is also used on a lot of the Kubernetes tutorials. And they say it's better and faster, and it uses JSON and YAML and blah, 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 versus using OpenSSL. Nobody uses OpenSSL. It's too old and busted. And there's there's a whole bunch of other like hipster tools for using certificates these days. And first of all, I hate Cloudflare. I'm just going to put it out there. I always have hated Cloudflare. I think the very premise as a company is as a fail. They have really handicapped the network, the internet, on more than one occasion, including fat fingering DNS entries in their configuration because they're noobs. I don't want anything to do with Cloudflare. There, I said it. Okay. I know disparaging remarks regarding Cloudflare. Everyone else can make fun of me for not liking Cloudflare. Fine. I think the very premise of centralized internet in a single service is a fail. It's actually against the original intentions of the internet. Not better, just easier. Damn easier. Yes, it's definitely going to be easier. It's going to be faster. But I'm going to use OpenSSL. I just don't like Cloudflare. There, enough. All right. People can say, okay, boomer, all they want, but I'm not the only one who feels that way. And many of the other people that feel as I do are people that I respect way more than the people who disagree. So OpenSSL has been the standard. As annoying as it is to use, it's been the standard for more than 20 years. When you're dealing with things like security and certification and certificates and stuff like that, sometimes older is better, right? You don't necessarily want the new stuff. How do you CFSSL to create self-signed certificates? All right. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, we got people commenting. More like herpes flare. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm laughing at that. Look, I'm going to get hate mail because there's going to be Cloudflare lovers out there. And I don't hate you, right? I don't even hate the people at Cloudflare. I hate the existence and premise of Cloudflare as a company. That's what I hate. There, I'm done. Okay, back to stuff that matters. All right, generating self-signed certs with a custom state. So I'm going to be eating my own words here. Everybody's going to see how long if you say you would have been done by now if you use CFSSL instead of OpenSSL because you forgot it because it's so complicated, you'll be right, but I don't want to hear it. Okay. Can I be a root certificate authority for my local? Okay. This is kind of an interesting thing, and yes, this is my job, and I'm supposed to know how to do this like from the just immediately. But guess what? Nobody does. We always have to look it up. And if you're creating a root certificate authority for your local home network, good idea to look up the steps again. Try it rather than do it from memory. I mean, because this is the kind of thing you do not want to screw up. Can I be okay? So anyway, can I be a root certificate authority for a local network? This is Stack Overflow, the source for all things authoritative. All right, let's look for like the fifth answer down. It's usually more reliable than the first upvoted answer. Can I be a root certificate authority for a local network? This may sound crazy. Can I be a root certificate authority? I mean, it's not crazy. Remote desktop. No, that's not crazy. You want to do that? I can issue certificates for all my devices. Should accept and install a certificate. Generate. Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. And factory keys will be done with make cert. Oh, look, there's another tool. Yet another certificate creation tool. 2 points because it's made with Go. You might got me there. You might have me there. No. In this article, the certificate generation tool expedited for testing purposes only. Okay, this is a perfect Stack exchange. Someone says, you don't have to use all those other tools. You should use it. That's too much of a hassle. And the first line of the tool says, this is for testing purposes only. I mean, I think they're talking about their certificates and not the tool. So it creates a public and private key pair for digital certificates and stores them. I'm going to tell you right now, look away if you don't want to go through the long and slow journey of creating a certificate tree. I need to go through this. Not only do I need to go through this for now, because I need to go through this for setting up my Kubernetes clusters, my actual internally used Kubernetes clusters. Quite struggling with finding the best practice for supposed to get wildcard certificates for your LAN and closed services. It's funny you say that because, if you're doing a lab, well, first of all, I want my lab to simulate my workplace. And to tell you the truth, even if I knew how my certificate tree is fully, I know most of it, but if I knew the exact details of our work one, I would not share it here, obviously. The use of CA and is fundamentally part of the authentication for your entire enterprise, and I that's not a topic that I want to discuss in terms of here's what we do. But I do like the idea of talking about it in terms of what is the best practice and stuff like that. So we're going to start by making a few mistakes. I think probably the first mistake here is locking it down to one IP. I think the root CA locking down, especially a /24 site or 192.168 address, which is totally stupid. But I just want to do it to get it going. This is a subject certificate store, and I frankly, the next time I do this, I might make a new one, right? I own one domain which points to the WAN IP of the entire LAN. Yeah. No WAN is typing. Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. Is I did not pick a broadcast IP for the entire LAN. You know what I mean? And I deliberately picked a specific host, and I don't know the best practice for that. I'm sorry, I don't know that. I don't do this very often. Okay, so specifies the authority of the certificate, which must be set to either commercial. This is that's an interesting tool, but again, I don't want to do it. So this channel just changed into a topic called how do I create my own root CA? Yeah. CAs don't have IPs. They don't have IPs. I didn't think they had IPs. CAs are based on domain, right? So putting that, okay, I think I got you. But what I'm trying to get at is I definitely don't want to create a domain for rwx.gg, because that's what I'm afraid of is having a different A record for those domains is totally acceptable in DNS. So that would mean that home.rbx.gg should be the top level domain for any of the stuff that comes under it, and then the CA could be associated with that subdomain, which is a weird sentence, right? A CA should not be associated with a subdomain. It should be probably associated with a top level domain, period. and stuff. So with OpenSSL, this is probably what we're going to do. How to create my own certificate chain. There's lots of answers here. Building your own root and intermediate certs. So there's lots of good stuff to read here. This is a pretty standard process, so even the old stuff's probably relevant. Probably 1CA, building your own root and intermediate certificate authority. Getting SSL certificate these days become much easier with the availability of free certificate authorities. But even so, there are scenarios where you need a certificate that couldn't be issued by them. That is one thing I could do is I could use Let's Encrypt as my CA. But I don't want to do that, actually. I want to practice setting up a CA for a company, assuming, I was going to do that. There are scenarios where you need a certificate that couldn't be issued by them. Longer-term certificates, complex wildcards, local addresses with your environment. And even, I understand the CAs from the Let's Encrypt CA is not too permissive. I remember doing Kubernetes last year and found that out. Because we did, I'm reminded that we did try to do that, and the CAs for Let's Encrypt were very, very limited. And even routers that are accessed by IP address and DNS name. Some of these could easily be issued by a paid CA. This is a great resource. I'm going to add that to my notes right now. I'm just adding a bunch of notes. This is actually, these notes are in my lab, rdbxrob/lab on GitHub. If you want to go get the links that we uncover, these will not be in any YouTube show notes or anything. So anyway, yeah. So let's go back. Okay, so getting self-certificate is pretty easy. Most routers will generate their own certs. It's pretty straightforward to create your own cert using OpenSSL or similar tools. The problem with self-signed certs is that they won't be trusted by default. That is exactly the problem for Key Vault, for Keycloak. And the Golang TLS validation. That stuff is very strict on self-signed certs. It will not use them. It has to have a CA. You still get we keep reading that warning every time we look at Keycloak setup. You still get the benefit of your connection being encrypted, but there won't be a guarantee that nobody intercepted your data, altered and signed it by their own interest. That's why. Okay, you could always add your certificate to your local trust store, but you'd have to do that for every single certificate you create on every device you access them, which will quickly become annoying. That is what enterprises do, by the way. They have control of everything that runs on the network. We could debate about zero trust versus that. And the overhead of doing that, but that's a different topic. Solution is simple. Create your own private CA and add it to your trust store. Any certificates created by the CA will be trusted as well, which makes managing this considerably easier. You won't use these certs on a public website, but they'd be perfect for internal service in your home lab. That's exactly what we're doing. Taking one step further, you could also create intermediate CAs, creating a trust chain. The end device certificates would be created for your intermediate CA. If your intermediate CA keys get compromised, you could just revoke them and create a new intermediate CA, and you won't need to update the trust store on your machines. We are going to create an intermediate CA, because that's actually something I want to do. I want to simulate an actual CA deployment in an enterprise space, even if it's a small company. How's it going? Analyze code. In these articles, I'll put down what I learned when I created my own CAs. I've decided to break this down. This is great. This is a great resource. I'm really glad this person wrote about it. Of course, they stopped before they got to part 3, as anyone who ambitiously makes a blog such as this does. Building your own root and intermediate certificate authorities. That's what we're reading right now. The main requirements for setting up and managing your own CA would be the installation of OpenSSL. We have that. Yes, the link is down here, actually. Yes, I add, you know what? I'll commit my lab stuff, okay? Let me commit my lab stuff. I don't want to get in the habit of So rdbxrob/lab, go star that. That's where we're going to add things. You can go see the latest changes, okay? I don't want to send you a new URL every time I add a new resource. That's going to take too much time. And so I'm taking a little time showing you how to do this. So go to GitHub, go to /rdbxrob/ /lab. It's got all of my little quirks. There's two main resources if you want to follow what I'm doing. One of them, in terms of like written content, one of them is this, and this has got actual example code and test code and everything. And the stuff I'm doing right now is under Kate's key cloak K login. Right there's your links. And the second one is my Zet, which if you do !Zet, that will come up in the chat. This is rdbxrob.github.io/Zet. All of the notes that I've been taking, including unstructured, completely politically incorrect rants, are in my Zet, right? So this is where I'm constantly spewing whatever I think about anything, sometimes very offensively. But this is my blog, if you will. I have not moved it over into a proper blog using MakeDocs or something because MakeDocs can't handle it because it's got too many endpoints. And then, of course, YouTube and Twitch. All right, so that's the one and only time I'm going to tell you about that. In fact, I should probably open with that in my disclaimer at the beginning of the co-working thing. Every day, every time I do a co-working thing, I should start with like a standard spiel, so that when people are watching the videos, they know to go there and get that stuff. Because I don't want to have to tell people every time. But thank you for asking. So yeah, I can get rid of that now. Where were we? I can't remember now. Miso is probably, I don't even know what that is, except for the soup. Yeah, I wrote that KN tool. That's my own tool, and it's you can search it and everything. It's better than anything that exists out there right now from the command line. Definitely. The only problem is it can't be used for mobile, but I don't use mobile for that stuff. Right now. MakeDocs. Yeah, I thought MakeDocs was cool too until it fell on its face at 200 pages. Yeah, so there's a rant about that actually. You can go read all about it. Yeah, and I don't want to talk about it. It's a complete distraction. You know what? In fact, we need to take a break. I'm going to take a break so I can regroup and come back. This is why I don't stream, is because I like you guys, and sometimes I spend time doing them. But I don't resent it. I just need to get shit done. So I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to mentally regroup, and then I'm not going to look at the chat. I'm also talking to myself. That's the end of our break. If you want to come, I'm going to repeat what I said. We do have there's an art opening tonight at Mooresville. In Mooresville, so if you want to come see Shane's art in the Mooresville Art Center, if you are local, I'd love to come and meet you. My wife and I, Doris, we're going to be at the Flux Gallery opening tomorrow night as well. Some people may choose not to share those details about their private life. I don't mind. My wife and I are very public figures, and Flux Gallery is a private invite. So, but if you happen to be in the area, please come on by. And that is an open invitation to anyone. So we are done with our little break here, and I'm going to repeat what I said on mute just a second ago. I apologize to anyone if I have attacked you, if I feel attacked because you're asking regular, honest questions. I have to get shit done. I am doing this on the clock, and I don't want to waste my Friday learning time that I'm getting paid for. So I'm going to stay focused here as much as I can. This is one of the reasons that I haven't, lately I go in and out of not streaming. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. And that's one of the main reasons, is because I personally cannot resist a good question to help somebody out, and I need to get better at that. So if you can help me do that, if everybody here who can help me do that, I will continue to do this co-working stuff, streaming again. If not, I am not going to do it. And there's going to be some days I'm just not going to stream because I can't. The stuff that I'm doing is 100%, using computer internal computers and stuff like that, it would be useless. You'd just be watching me type on another computer all day, which is also fine as long as you've got, something to listen to. Some people like that. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I've decided, as I said earlier, to add that to the official disclaimer at the beginning of all the VODs, the YouTube videos, so people that watch these videos know that's why I'm putting you off, right? And I'm dedicating something like 6 hours a week to helping beginners on Saturdays at 11 o'clock. Plug for the Beginner Boost, just designed to answer questions related to this kind of thing. But please, if you have something related to the topic at hand and you have to ask a question, go ahead and ask it. I just might not promise you I can answer it. Somebody from the chat might answer it, but I won't necessarily answer it. It doesn't mean I'm not interested in you. I really love responding to my chat questions. Okay. All right, so we are doing OpenSSL, and as I've said, I haven't done anything with OpenSSL since the 90s, and even then, I recognize and I confess I've never created a root CA. It's very rare that you have to create a root CA unless you're doing it for your own home lab. I've never done it, so back then we bought it from VeriSign, and now that I remember, so this is something I have never done, and I've done a lot of things, and I have never done that. So I'm going to be struggling through this, and it's one of the reasons I need to focus. And so I found this blog online. The URL for the blog, as I said, these are all in my lab. So github.com/rdbxrob/lab. Go look for the Kate's app lab, or look for my Zed. Okay. The main requirements for setting up. You know what? You know what I need to do? I need to make a to-do about this. One of the things we need to do is my links A command. My links A command embeds a link. What I need to do is I need to make it detect whether I'm streaming or not and automatically send the link to the chat. Super easy to do with the Twitch API. And in fact, I'm going to go make a to-do list about that. I think I have a whole bunch of to-dos already. Nope. I'm just going to go make a to-do to do this. Yeah. Add automatic link posting with links A. I think it actually used to be there to Twitch chat. I had it really robust. I think the code is even still there. No, it's not in this version. So I'll do that for fun someday. I can do that drunk pretty much. so I'll do that another day. That's a fun little sidetrack. Yeah, I'm checking chat. I am going to check chat, but I'm going to browse right over the questions. I'm not even going to answer them. Yes, LBG is particularly you. I want to hear your chat. That's please keep your chat on topic as much as possible. We're getting more popular again, and that is creating challenges because I need to see the people who know what we're talking about, not the beginners. I'm not trying to tell you to shut up. I'm just saying if you have a question, ask it. Please go to check the other sources, okay? Only answers. Yeah, LBG's only got answers. Yes. Okay. So the main requirements for setting up and managing your CA would be the installation of an OpenSSL. Okay, so we have to do that. I'm going to use OpenSSL. We're not going to fight about it anymore. I already shot down Cloudflare and et cetera. I know of at least 6 tools for creating and managing certificates. And I'm choosing to use OpenSSL. Why? Because that's what the enterprise that I work for uses. And that's what most enterprises use by default. The automations use it. They assume it's going to be on there. Cloudflare is usually an extra install. It is a Go tool. I am partial to Go. You're absolutely right that it puts points in the column for Cloudflare SSL. But I'm going to stick with OpenSSL, even though it's really painful to do it. It doesn't use JSON or any of that. I remember that from last time I used it. So we have to get OpenSSL on my server. And I was actually checking my trace route and trace path, which and trace path is on everything, and limited trace route works better with root and is usually not on systems these days. I actually found that out during the middle of a debugging session. We were trying to do things. I thought I didn't trace path. It was not related to trace route. I was wrong, and so now I know. Clear the screen. We are which OpenSSLs to see if we have one. We have it, right? Let me tell you another reason not to use CFSSL. Oh, look at that. It's not there. Okay. So there you go. Make sure you enable V3 extensions. V3 of OpenSSL. I don't know what that means. Enable V3 extensions. I don't know what that means. X509. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let's actually talk about 509 certificates for a second and remind ourselves what this is about. What is an X509 certificate? So, and I need to remind myself, I know what these things are, but it's always useful to read it again. X509 certificates built, this is the things that were built into SSL, which is the original version of security for the web and stuff. You know, every time you see the HTTPS, it's now using something called TLS. And they have used the same format for certificates since the dawn of time, called X509. So let's read about it. So let's learn about X509 again. This is not a lesson on X509. This is me, a primer, I guess, reminding myself. And this is how you normally have to do things. Cryptography. X509 is the International Telecommunications Union, ITU, standard defined format for public key certificates. First of all, I did not know it was ITU. X509 certificates are used in many internet protocols, including TLS and SSL, that's what I just said, which is the basis for HTTPS, the secure protocol for browsing the web. They're also used for offline applications like electronic signatures, and this is becoming more and more and more prevalent. So we're starting to see X509 used for zero trust environments where everybody has a cert, and we're starting to see all kinds of different things. So you can actually authenticate to, in fact, Minikube by default uses an X509 certificate. In fact, let me go review that. I want to just show that again. We did that. We saw that last night. So is it Minikube info? I think it is. What was it that we saw last time? It was, so Minikube is a small Kubernetes version. And it actually, dashboard, Minikube, I don't remember which one it is. One of these commands will show you all this stuff. So we got our running control plane. Well, I'm looking for the Minikube command that shows you which authentication is set up by default. And I don't remember it. It's not status update version. It might be config view. It might be config view. Nope, that's not it. I don't remember. What is it? Am I confusing it with another command? I think I might be. There's a way that shows you everything about Minikube, like how it's been configured. It's a new command. That's why I can't remember. Did I put it in my Z? I don't think I did. I don't think I put it in my Z. I need to. This is why you should keep a Z. RWX. Where's the driver? Go VirtualBox. God damn, I need to redo that. I need to do that. I'm not going to do it right now, but those notes are really old and busted. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that I don't believe any of that stuff in my notes anymore. I have to go back and update those. It was cool. It showed. You know what? I think it was when I started it. I think it was the summary when I started it, actually. So let's go ahead and restart and restart it. I'm pretty sure it's the standard information on the start for Minikube. So Minikube, again, is a self-contained Kubernetes cluster that runs locally. They call it a single node cluster usually. Inspect the Minikube directory. That's another way to do it, yeah. But I just noticed that it, first of all, it tells you things like what driver it's using, KVM, thank God. And I remember something, and I think this was it, that showed what default authentication it used. And it uses X509 SSH, sometimes called SSH keys as well. But they're not SSH keys, which I always find interesting. That's one of the reasons I want to read about the 509 stuff, because I think it uses the same certificate format, but I think SSH keys are X509 certificates. But I don't think that's true. So there's SSH certificates, pub key, pairs. There's GPG, and there's the SSL, TLS, X509 stuff, and they're kind of like three different classes of crypto and pub key cryptography and stuff like that, that sometimes play together and sometimes they don't, and that can be daunting to keep straight in your head. Verifying Kubernetes components is using its own configuring bridge CNI. This is cool. So the bridge CNI, just to kind of sidetrack, this gives us network access to a Minikube cluster by automatically fronting, we'll say, any of the node port stuff internally, which normally you'd have to do with just explicitly with an ingress or virtual service in Istio or something. Enabled add-on storage provisioner, default storage class, which is the underlying stuff. Not configured as Minikube default namespace stuff. Yeah, that's not showing the stuff I was looking for. Yeah. I'm not showing it. OpenSSL uses PEM. Well, PEM is just the name of a file format. That's it. Anything can be in PEM. Yeah. So that was something I learned last year, unless I'm wrong. So X500 TLS, X500 certificate binding to identify a public key using digital signature. A certificate contains an identity, a host name. That's why I created that local even though my host name is registered by my top level DNS provider to an internal IP address that nobody can get to. The same thing as like router or login, like people do with Netgear and stuff. An organization or individual and a public key, RSA, DSA, ED 825519, and a public key. So an identity and a pub key. And 825519 are shorter. That's the ones I use for SSH. This is where the pub private key stuff overlaps with SSH and GPG. In terms of like the type of keys that you're using. So mathematically, they're the same. That's just how they're represented. And is either signed by a certificate authority, and it is either signed by a certificate authority or is self-signed. Meaning it's signed, that means that we're talking pub key crypto again, pub private key crypto, and that's what the CA is. So to have an intermediate certificate, you have to sign it. This is if you knew GPG, you know this stuff inside and out. We need to sign the intermediate certificates with the CA's private key specifically. When a certificate is signed, and then when a certificate is signed by the trusted certificate authority or validated by other means, someone holding that certificate can use the public key in order to know that it came from a trusted authority to establish secure communications with another party. In the case of GPG, which is a completely separate technology, they used to have, PGP encryption, right? They used to have, pub key servers, and then you'd have all your friends sign a public key. These days, people don't do that. These days, people will put their public key hash in their GitHub profile or in their it used to be Twitter or something, and then people would know because they trust that resource as being the from that person, and then they know that was the indication of the key to use, because you can revoke a key at any time. And to great effect, there was a root CA on the internet, I don't remember which one, which was pulled last year, and it caused all kinds of havoc because you're supposed to be able to pull them and replace them easily, but the software that uses it has to be able to do that, and nobody was caching it. They were just assuming that root CA was going to be there forever. PEM is a file format, as LBG points out. Private key or indeed both concatenated together, right? It can either be the metadata about the key and the key itself. X5 also defines certificate revocation lists, which are a means to distribute information about certificates that have been deemed invalid by a signing authority. Again, this is very similar to both SSH and GPG, who use public private key encryption. By the way, call out for the boost again, 11 o'clock on Saturdays. We are going to talk about public private key architecture from a very high level for absolute beginners when we get to the SSH stuff in order to authenticate to GitHub. That's probably 2-3 weeks away, but we are going to cover that. As well as the certificate path validation algorithm, which allows for certificates to be signed by intermediate CAs, which are in turn signed by other certificates, eventually creating a trust anchor. So then you have that whole path. Public SSH key to validate that a message is from a certain user. Absolutely, that's the main point of it, Wookie. And so X509 is defined by the International Telecommunications Union. ITU-T study group 17 is based on ASN.1. Interesting. And another ITU standard. You probably can't even read the standard without paying $800. These huge standards organizations charge ungodly amounts of money to just see the international public standard. It's really stupid. X509 was initially issued on July 3rd, 1988, and was begun in association with the X509 standard. I don't need to know the history. I don't really care. By authority. Okay, so that's a good overview of what they are. IATF approved way. RFC 5280 defines the revocation list. Which is the IATF is the standards organization that defines how the internet works, and that stuff is free and online. You can actually submit your own standards to it if you want, through the RFC process. And I'm just looking at to see if there's an RFC for the SSL stuff. I assume there is. PKI, that's public key. And PKI, whenever you see PKI, we're talking about pub-private key stuff. That's what PKI is. Or public key initiative. A PKI system is the catch-all term for deploying a public-private crypto system somehow. CSR will be validated. Certificate authority. Distinguish the DN, yes. I don't see anything. Okay, so that's good enough. That's a good reminder about what X509 is, and then how that stuff is put into the file is a different standard, and that's where PEM comes in. Yeah, and so we need to actually just get into the business of actually making the cert, and let's do that. So. Building your own root intermediate certificate authorities. All right, so I'm actually going to, whoops. What is it, D? Yeah. No, A, D. Building your own root certs. I'm up to, actually, that's interesting. So, I'm going to have to set up a Zet on that system too. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, we have this link in the other one already, right? I don't have to cut and paste it because we're on a cross system. This is becoming a, yeah. I'm going to change something about my workspace right now because I'm getting annoyed because I can't copy and paste with my TMUX across the systems. Yeah. I'm getting annoyed by that, so I'm going to use a single TMUX. Let me show you what I mean by that. Yeah, and this we lose advantages to some degree, but I'm going to, for the sake of what we're doing, I'm going to do it. When you use TMUX, you can either have, if you don't want to have embedded TMUX screens, you have a challenge, right? So here I have this is now the Windows Terminal Preview window that has a single TMUX session that's running on my from a computer here. The problem here is that if I want to have the same things where the screen session is running and is keeping up the server and everything, like I would do with Minecraft or whatever, that is then an embedded. This is actually one of the reasons I think it's important that people learn screen and TMUX, because then or they learn how to send TMUX sessions down through the other one. But if you don't really care, one of the things you can do is just have multiple remote connections. The problem here is that you lose the keep upness of a multiplexer in the first place, which is one of the at least 50% of the advantage of using one. So like when you SSH into home.rbx.gg, which is a local server, that's an internal address. You see I'm now on there, and now TMUX is then. Why did I do that? Well, because now when I'm doing research on this remote system or on another system over here, and I find information that I want to add, like I just did here, right? I can actually add that, and then I can go back to the Zet session I was last using. So here I'm going to put HPZ640 in my name, And basically, if you've only got one tmux session to deal with, then you're cut and pasting between the two things. Even if each of the individual tmux windows is pointing to a different remote system through an SSH connection, you get the benefit of cutting and pasting across terminals. Try that shit with VI, by the way. People try to do this stuff by cutting and pasting between, and the only developers do that, not operations and hackers. They don't do that. They know how silly that is. So let's say is that same as the last. That's the last one I was just working on, right? Difference between trace shot and trace. It looks like we lost our lab link, so I need to go back to that. So I'm using, that was a CD path. It went right into my lab in my CD path. I didn't have to deal with Z shell or any shit like that. Somebody telling me how grateful they were. I taught them that, like, they've been using it for 3 years now. So the KSAP CD into Keycloak. The goal here is to have a single tmux session at the expense of possibly losing Keycloak if my tmux dies on this machine, which it would, because it's not backgrounded. It also means that I could just background it another way and then watch the log or something, which I probably will end up doing, and then just tail the log, and then that would keep that remote process running even if tmux died locally. So we have a README here. And so now I can do what I wanted to do. I can link say and grab that. Oh, we already had a link to it, of course. But that, you see what I mean? That's why I did that. This also means that if I have some configuration that I want to document on my remote system, I can take notes on that very easily without leaving the keyboard. So that's why I'm doing it that way. All right. So next we've got so we got our system. We have OpenSSL installed. Now we need to know actually what the hell to do with OpenSSL. This is how to start Minikube so that it uses our ODC provider. We will need that resource later. So let's call this Minikube, and let's do this. Let's see, private CA, building your own root CA. Getting SSL certificates is easier, less encrypted. I thought we just read this. Oh, I'm just rereading the same thing over again. Okay, let's go for it. Okay, so first we need to set up a folder structure for our root CA. Add the folders and initial files we'll be using later. Okay, so this is the documentation. Let's actually get on a system that is doing it. I'm going to call this lab, and let's make a new one. No, the other Minikube is Minikube docs. We should probably call that Minikube docs. I don't know if that'll, yeah, okay, so 4 is the lab. Let's make a new one here. Let's say SSH into home, and we still can't tab it out. That sucks. I know. I just have to have this. This is just to remind me that it's there. Also, this will allow me to do SSH tab and go home and then get it, so I don't have to type it. There we go. On Podman start dash A. Or Podman start attach. Oh yeah. Just reattach to the Podman. Duh, derp. LBG, that's a great obvious thing to say that I totally missed. Yeah, of course. The only reason it's doing that is because I did the RM thing. Yeah, that's the whole point of having a container, for God's sake. Oh, I feel so dumb right now. All right, so anyway, yeah, I mean, you know what? These, again, I've only been doing containers a couple years, and my brain is still full of some of the older methods of dealing with upness, right? Keeping things up and stuff like that. And one of those is using Screener tmux. But in a container world, it's totally stupid to use that as a method of keeping things up. Just make it into a container and then deal with container attachments and stuff. Oh my God. Ugh. If you're an old schooler like me, if you're like an OG Unix person, you need to learn to use containers instead of tmux to keep your stuff up. Which means running Minecraft in a container, which is we probably now I finally have a reason to run Minecraft in a container. All right, back to what we were talking about. I am so embarrassed by that. All right, so that is so true. It's a totally different mindset. It's a different mindset, right? It's like I have to do all of these things to keep my systems up while I'm running a backup. Well, if you're running your backup from a container or a Kubernetes or something, you're not going to have that problem as much, right? You should have recoverable things. Everything you should be doing in life should be recoverable, and it shouldn't require a concurrent, internet connection. And that's just, yeah. Running Minecraft in a container. Hey, Annie, how you doing? Yeah, Minecraft is one of the crazy tools. I mean, I deal with a lot of kids, and they all want Minecraft, right? Well, I showed them how to use Screen and TMUX to use Minecraft so they could get back to their server later, right? But what I should have done, and will do in the future, is teach them how to put Minecraft in a container so that container is always running, right? And then they just come in and attach to the container, and then they don't have to deal with TMUX. It's harder to do that than just TMUX A, but that's the right way to do it. I mean, let's be real, right? So, people were always going off about running Minecraft in a container in like 2018 when I was reading about it. I was pre-container at that time. I didn't know. I mean, I knew about them. I didn't give a shit. And now I know why. And they're like, they went to these god awful lengths to put Minecraft in a container every time a new release came out. And I was like, why? Why go through all that hassle? And that's one of the reasons. One of the reasons is to run it so that it's running no matter what. You can attach to it. Ever have. TMUX solves all the problems. I agreed. It really does. I am with you. Private CA part 1, building on root CA. Okay, we're still doing that. Okay, I have to focus again. Okay, wait. I have to concentrate because I'm not the kind of person to concentrate. We're going to make a root CA folder. I'm going to follow the instructions from this RTO, whoever. This link is in the lab, so Artibix Rob /lab. You can go there and find it. It's under Kate's stuff. We're going to do this. I'm actually going to do something that I tell people not to do. I don't know if you can see this, but none of these are prefixed with sudo. In Boost, I tell people to be sure to do everything as sudo and not to do what I just did. But, I just did it anyway. I did. I'm a horrible person. CA. I could just copy and paste, use the TMUX here if I wanted to. I actually want to type it because I want to learn it. Okay. Make directory new certs. New certs, search CRL, private and requests. Okay, I'm going to not type that because I'm too lazy. I'm not typing that one. I was way too lazy for that. Okay, touchindex.txt. Why are they calling it index.txt? I'm impressed that they're using touch. txt.attr. Okay, the folders created here will be new certs. New certs will be to store all the historical generated certificate files. Okay. Certs will be used to store the certificates, and I also store my PFX files here. I wonder if PFX is the same as PEM. Probably not. Sudoing directly, running. What's bad about running as a root user, like I'm doing right now? You destroy things much easier. Yeah. If I'm going to run restart string, restart policy to apply when a container exits. Really? This is very Kubernetes-esque. All right, so new certs, so the certificate certs will be used to store the new certificates. CRL will store the certificate revocation list files. Private will store the private keys for our certificates. Requests will be used to store the certificate request files. Now that's the CSRs. That's how you make changes to the revocation list and stuff like that. So the index.txt is the database used by OpenSSL to manage the CA. I wonder if that's the default name or not. Once we have the basic structure, we can configure our CA. You can use my root openssl.conf as a baseline. Copy to your CA folder, at the very least customize the entries. Now this is why people hate OpenSSL, because they have to learn yet another format, right? And I mean in terms of as a tool, not the protocol. Once everything is configured, we can create our own private key and root cert. Don't forget to adjust the file names. Again, I'm kind of fast tracking this, so I'm going to go see if this file can be downloaded. It looks like it can. Yep, it definitely can. So let's add. I'm going to go pull that down with curl. Why isn't this working? I tell you what, let's do there we go. This I can go grab. Oops. And over here, yeah. I need to put myself in the users file. Yeah, I need to, I don't want to have to type the password every time. So, because I'm too lazy. This is what I'm doing is going to weaken my security, but I don't care. So, I can add it to myself to suitors group. Usermod dash ag. Rob. I can't remember which one it goes to. All right, there we go. And so CDCA. And what? Oh yeah, we're gonna curl our file down. Oh. So assuming curl is on here. So there we go. So you have the OpenSSL cert. The TS OpenSSL commands. Everybody is recommending why not to use the TSSL commands, and I keep telling them I want to use the SSL commands. I forgot the L. L is the important part. I forgot it. L redirects to the right thing, which mine did not do. Still the wrong thing, apparently. Yeah, I don't know why. We're going to I'll go back and check another window. So, did I get the blob wrong? I must have. I must have got the blob URL wrong. Oh, yeah, what the hell? Wait, what? Fresh everything. Portia, I know, and you are like a big deal, so that's what I'm trying to say. It's like you can be a big deal and still forget things. Not that I'm a big deal. I'm a small deal. I know people who are big deals. But anyway. So yeah, OpenSSL conf. Why isn't that downloading? I protest. There's a redirect in there. That URL must be wrong. That's all I have to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. That is not the right URL. Yeah. Is that a medium deal? Okay. Well, the other way to do this is pretty simple. It's pretty. I'm going to do it the other way, which is the better way. We're just going to copy it. Private CA template. That's what we should have done in the first place because I'm an idiot. Why did I not do that? Someone tell me. Because I wasn't thinking. Okay, here we go. Why did you make capitals in your GitHub repo name? I doubt your ability as a human being. Seriously, if you put capitals in your GitHub repo names, shame on you. There, I said it. See, that's another way to get it. Right? Ooh, look at all this fun stuff. We're going to use Keystore later. Keystore Explorer. Is that the one? That's the one that's on the Java one, right? For Keycloak? Yeah. I want to get good like you. I want to be able to do that. So here is the file. We did a we downloaded the GitHub repo using those commands I just used. If you're not using the GitHub command line tool, sucks to be you. So here we go. V3 intermediate CA. This is why nobody likes OpenSSL. Right here. It's this INI format, but it's not INI, by the way. It's not TOML. It's not INI. And this annoys the hell out of people. Do I just use it and go call it a day, or do I try to learn it all right now? I don't know. I don't know. I gotta get this onto the right machine. Make sure you put the colon in there, and if you tab, it'll add it. If you don't, it'll just make, watch. People do this all the time with SCP. I'm just gonna warn you. You're like, wait, my file's not over there. What did I do? You just made a local copy. Yeah. Good thing I didn't blow something away. How many? Raise your hand if you've done that. Raise your hand if you have done an SCP and forgot the colon at the end and made a local copy. I guarantee you, if you haven't done it, you will. The best way to avoid that is to hit tab, because it'll put the colon there. It's one of the reasons I added the domain to my domain names. Everybody does it, even the best of us. So I'm just putting it there. Just putting it out there for you to understand. Hey, we're still on, this is on the instructions. Kind of got to remember where I am here. All right, so here's our root CA. We're going to copy tilde artifacts Rob. And we're going to copy open to here. And we'll have something that actually matters. Now, we need to, everybody's raising their hand in the chat. Okay, so let's go back to here at CA. There's a warning here. A fancy word for warning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, for 20 points, as if there were points. What is a fancy word for warning that is often used by technology professionals? I hope I spelled it right. I made it into a game. No, don't do that. That doesn't work anyway, dummy. You got it. Caveat emptor. People misuse the word caveat all the time. With the caveat, when you say with the caveat, it's not with the precondition. It's with the warning, with the caution. That's what it means, caveat. You're going to see it all the time. It sounds like caviar. It's not. But if you say caveat and you're not an English speaker, if you come across that word, it's a big fancy ass word to use in like a big meeting where there's lots of people and then you need to impress them because you want them to think you're smarter than you are. Or you put it in your documentation, caveats. It's like shit you should be warned about. That's what they should say. Anyway, once you have the basic structure, we can configure our CA. You can use my root personal OpenCA. Usually a bad idea to use somebody else's certificate information as a baseline. Copy it to your CR folder. At the very least, customize entries marked change me. We should live dangerously and not do that. Change. Okay, there's one that says change me. With the caveat, yeah, you keep this in mind or you will break stuff. Exactly, Annie. Exactly. Caveat equals, don't you touch this. Look, we have to put that out there. I guarantee there's at least one person watching this on YouTube or elsewhere who's not going to know what the word caveat actually means. And they're going to misuse it, and somebody's going to like, what? Anyway, private key. I'm in the happy stage of the day where I get kind of silly. If you keep watching the stream, as was yesterday and the day before, by the end, I'll be grumbling and yelling at people. So, but right now is the happy time. This is the happy caffeinated time where I don't get shit done because I'm talking and having fun and making jokes. I just have learned that about myself. Okay, so private key, directory private root key, change me. What is tilde? Can I use can you know what we have to do? What is the format of the OpenSSL conf file? We need to figure that out. We need to figure this out. I have no idea. Oh, is it man 5? It has a man page? Damn. I don't you love people who read man pages on the internet? I have people recommend, oh, you should go look at this web page. I'm like, you mean this man page? You know, I'm here for ranty time. That was pronounced caveat for a while. What are you? Are you Latino? You're a Latin speaker? Or you make all your V's into B's and vice versa? Or are you German or something? Or French who doesn't have a W? I'm not making fun. Je parle français. Ouais. Ya Gabriel Paruski. OpenSSL is a cryptographic toolkit implementing the security sockets layer. That we know. I'm RTFMing, by the way. The F does not stand for fancy. I don't care what anybody tells you. The OpenSSL program is a command line tool for using various cryptographic functions of OpenSSL crypto library from the shelf. It also is the thing that's installed most frequently on all Linux and Unix distros, even if somebody's going to teach you their hipster version of it. The replacement for it, we're not. We're going to use the old boomer version. And it very much is a boomer tool. It was written during boomer era. At least boomers probably wrote it. Let's put it that way. Creation and management of private keys, public keys and parameters, public key, blah, 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 509s. We know about that. Command summary. We want to get to the configuration file format. That's what I'm getting to. Does not equal fine. No. We're on YouTube now, so we can't tell you what it means. All right. Detailed documentation use case for most standard subcommands are available. So oh wow. So there's documentation for the subcommands. Interesting. Okay. Many commands from the external configuration file for all or some of the arguments and have a -config option. Specify that file. Environment variable OpenSSL config. We're going to be passing that probably. Specify the location of the file in the event it is not specified. Then the file that is named is openssl.cnf in the default certificate storage area. I don't even know where that would be. Whose value depends on the configuration flag specified to OpenSSL when it was built. How do I look that up? I'm going to experiment. I'm going to experiment. OpenSSL-H. Wow, look at that. That's fancy. That's so fancy. Look at all those fun commands that I have. This is cool because this is like an action-based command before there were action commands. Like git and GPG. Actually, it was around the time of GPG, so that makes sense. Ciphers for ENC. That did not help me. I want to know where the configuration file is. How do I look up what it was compiled with? You remember what was I mean, maybe it's in here. I doubt it. Nope. Nothing. Okay, so OpenSSL info. As info is a thing? No item chosen. How about all? How about tab? Damn, no tab completion. This was pre-tab completion days. You know what? Configure output options. God, look at these really long single dash options. I rest my case. Nobody can ever agree on how to do options. Configure. There we go. User live SSL. So if I put this thing that I'm manufacturing there, it'll automatically be used every time. Otherwise, I have to provide some sort of command line configuration to it, pointing to it, which is fine. Relatively basic stuff, but essential. All right. Where am I? We're reading the command line. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. So the parameters, standards can be digest, ciphers. The list parameters, cipher algorithms, the digest, blah, blah, blah. From We're now embarking into the part of where everybody says, "See, don't you hate OpenSSL?" Because it's old and it's not pretty and it's pre-JSON. The list parameter, it doesn't even comply with INI. The list parameter public key algorithm list is supported by public key algorithms. Command no dash blah tests whether commander specified names is available. I don't need that. Okay. Standard commands: AS1 parse, CA certificate authority management, ciphers, CMS, certificate revocation, digest, TSA, an old busted parameter algorithm. You shouldn't use. We should use it. Engine, gen PK, gen RSA. Also a broken one unless you're using a 2040. I guess there's people still using RSA, but just make sure you bump up your bit size. OCSP, online certificate status protocol, password, generation of hash passwords. That's the old school hash passwords that used to go in Etsy Secret. That these days with SC Linux, that doesn't even work anymore. And if you're using, if you're using PAM-based authentication against LDAP, which is still a thing, or Active Directory if you want, for Unix systems instead of NIS, which we used to use, pkey, p prime, rand, rehash, rec, RSA, RSA util, S client. See, people use S client all the time in the hacker world. It implements the generic SSL TSL S client, which can establish transparent connection to a remote server. That is actually worth learning, by the way, and yet another reason to learn OpenSSL, especially if you're a hacker. If you're a hacker, that reminds me that one of the bandit OpenSSL password S5. Does it really? Did not know that. I tell people don't use Active Directory. You don't have a choice in the enterprise today. I mean, come on. So this one right here is particularly, if you're a hacker, pay attention. Okay, if you want to pass bandit on over the wire, which is kind of a hokey but fun hacker challenge system for free. I do it on Christmas sometimes, like speed run it. The S client allows you to get around requests to things that are TLS terminated. So, which means that you can tunnel any command through SSL, which is cool because if you don't necessarily, curl doesn't usually always do what you want to do. Sometimes you need to use S client to do that kind of thing. So that's good to know. It says it's for testing purposes, but hackers use it all the time. S server, this implements the generic SSL, TLS certificate which accepts connection from remote clients. You can actually have it run a server that's using TLS. I have never done that. That I have to do now. Damn, if you're a hacker and want to make a backdoor that's TLS encrypted, and OpenSSL is already on the system, which I just demonstrated it is in most distros, another reason you learn OpenSSL. SOCAD2, which says TLS over UDP. Did not know that. Really? Cool. Good to know. Anyway, so yeah, S-time, SSL connection timer, session ID, S-MIME. Oh, S-MIME makes me smile. Mine makes me smile. I actually use mine to make a network protocol for audit compliance data gathering. Speed, SPAC, SRP, store util, TS, timestamping authority. I don't know about this one. Verify. That's another one you're going to use a lot. Verify the certificate. And 509, X509. That's the thing that actually hands it off. Here's all the different digests for it. What's the difference between a digest and a key? I'm asking for the peanut gallery so they can answer for other people. The following aliases provide convenient access to the most used encoding ciphers. Depending on how OpenSSL was configured and built, not all ciphers listed here may be present. One of the things that impressed me about Go, by the way, I'm just going to say it. When I came to Go, one of the reasons the first projects I did was I made an encrypted password store for my 9 to 12-year-old students' passwords so they could go and look them up. And I wanted it to be secure, and I found that out of the box, Go had compliant OpenSSL, OpenPGP, crypto libraries that could be used to replace GPG. And I mean, I had written entire Perl encapsulators for the GPG command itself because the best practice was to use GPG as opposed to anything else. Because if you wrote your own, you never, ever spin your own security. Even existing standards where there's already a tool that exists to do that standard. And the fact that the Go team, it included a production grade standard library for dealing with crypto from the outset, immediately sold me on the language. I was sold immediately on that because that is not the kind of thing. And you can actually thank Google for that. Google needed it, so they invested the time and energy to make a production grade crypto libraries it built into Go. And that might not have happened in open source. It's still, at the time, JavaScript still doesn't have one. It still doesn't have one. And how many people were using Node and everything, and you want to talk to any GPG encrypted database or anything, at the time, there was nothing close to it. It'd been out like an extra 10 years beyond Go. So I'm just going to take that. This has been an advertisement for Go. So AES, details on which options are available depend on the specific command. This section describes some common options and common behavior. OpenSSL speed-multi if your room is cold. It's even got a built-in space heater. You can just do that with like three-word command on the command line, which I shall not state right now. Details of which options are available. Passphrase options. Yeah, it's good at what it's targeted to do. Yeah, that's really all I'm saying. And I mean, it's the best of breed when it comes to middleware, period. There's just really no debating that at this point. Note that character encoding may be relevant. Please see passphrase encoding. Read the password, send in, blah, blah, blah. It looks like there are also man pages for all the other stuff. It still doesn't say anything about the format of the file. Maybe this is one. This is it. X509 v3 config. I don't know. Let's try that one. Man, I want to find out how to. This is the reason people don't like this. Is it's so hard to create the file, and they don't know what the hell goes into file. Oh, this is it. We found it. Yay! All right. So note to self and y'all. X509 v3 underscore config man page has what I need to look for when I don't know what the hell I'm doing in the file, even if I have somebody else's good example. Several of the OpenSSL utilities can be extensions to a certificate or certificate request based on the contents of a configuration file. That's what we want. Typically, the application will contain an option to point to an extension section. And LBG mentioned earlier, make sure you have v3 extensions installed. Looks like I do because this is v3 config. Yeah, and stuff. If critical is present, then the extension will be critical. The format of extension option depends on the value of extension name. Formatting types, I apologize for my colors. They're kind of off. That's not my fault. It's because the man page is written bad. The format of the extension options depend on the value of extension name. There are four main types of extensions: string extensions, multi-value extensions, raw, and arbitrary extensions. String extensions simply have a string which contains the values for itself. For example, ns comment equals blah, blah, blah. Multi-value extensions have a short form and a long form. The short form, let's say we're learning a language here. Basic constraints equals critical. The long form allows the values to be placed in a separate action. Basic constraints critical at bs underscore section. All right, let me see here. Let's digest this. Okay, so basic constraints critical. That is this critical. Okay, so this part right here is a meta property of the extension. This is a new language that I have to learn. This is why people don't like it. So I'm learning the language. This is not just a string, apparently. It's a string with a comma, and this stuff up here has multi-value extensions have a short form and long form. Long form has what looks like an INI section, long form has an @ sign that refers to that section. This is very wonky. Can we just all agree that as bad as YAML is, at least we all agree on YAML mostly, or JSON? YAML is JSON, by the way. The long form allows, it is, I don't care what you say. I'm sorry, JSON is YAML. YAML is JSON. Yeah, JSON is YAML. The end. The long form allows the values to be placed in a separate section. All right, so we have them in a section, and then the comma, and then this thing gets crunched together by joining everything with a comma. So God help you if there's a comma in there. But whatever. Both forms are equivalent. The syntax of the raw extension is governed by the extension code. It can, for example, contain data in multiple sections. The correct syntax used is defined by the extension code itself. Superset. There you go. No. JSON is YAML. I'll prove it. Are we going to fight about this? JSON is 100% compatible with YAML. 100%. It is a superset, if you want to say it that way. That's a qualifier. But in other words, all JSON is YAML. Bite me. In-band encoding. I know it's really weird. This is why people hate it. In fact, you can name. You can take a JSON file and change the extension .json.yaml. Same thing. It'll work in both places. Every time, all the time. 100% guaranteed by the YAML standard. YAML can parse JSON, yes. What I'm saying is all JSON is YAML. Not all YAML is JSON. Superset, like you said. Syntax of raw extensions is governed by the extension code. It can be an example of blah, blah, blah. The correct syntax is used defined by the extension code. Check out the certificate policy extension for this. So that means there's different syntaxes per extension. This is why people hate it. If the extension type is unsupported, then the arbitrary extension syntax must be used. The arbitrary, as if arbitrary is a name. All right, I'm growing to hate OpenSSL as others have expressed. See the arbitrary extension section for more details. I mean, think about, parse that for a second. See the arbitrary extensions in all caps section for more details. That's kind of a meme all by itself. It's kind of a nerdy tech meme. See the arbitrary extension section for details. I'm putting that on a t-shirt. Would you buy it? Okay, let's put that on a t-shirt. I'm going to put on a t-shirt. I'm going to say, name that man page. That's going to be my series of merch. It's going to be like, name that man page. I already have a thing for merch. Where is it? Is that merch? Square merchant. No, that's not it. Zet create ideas for merch for RDXRob.tv merch. How about that? Here we go. We already have one. Spaghetti Code Kills. We actually found the code. My stream found this 3 years ago. We found the actual code that killed people in the Toyota Camry lawsuit. That was called Spaghetti Code by a NASA engineer hired to elucidate that. Stuff to put on t-shirts. All right. Spaghetti Code. See, the great thing about having a Zet is I can get this idea out and put it to rest and go back to my job. And then I don't have to feel uncomfortable because I didn't capture it somewhere. You need that on a mug. Bit of, on the end of arbitrary extensions. I don't know. Yeah. Standard extensions. Okay. The following sections describe each supported extension in detail. This is a multi-valued extension which indicates whether a certificate is a CA cert. The first mandatory name is CA followed by true or false. I have to read this, so I guess I'm reading it. At least I know where to read it now. If CA is true, then the optional pathlen. Oh, wait. I got the wrong man page on that, didn't I? Yeah. We have to. Ooh. I'm glad I caught that. Yep. I forgot. It's not the OpenSSL man page. No, it's the OpenSSL sim man page. There. Okay, back to what we were doing. Then you also need, obviously, ligature arrow pointing downward. That is an entirely relevant modern joke. The CA must, okay. Basic constraints equals CA equals true, true, false, critical CA, true, pathlen, 0. A CA certificate must include the basic constraints value with a CA field set to true. Okay, we're going to do that. An end user certificate must either set CA to false or exclude the extension entirely. So we're talking about intermediate and end user, right? What about intermediate certs? Does it answer that question? I feel a break coming on, but we're going to finish here. Some software may require the inclusion of basic constructs constraints with CA set to false for the end entry certificates. The pathlen, what I'm trying to identify is whether an intermediate cert needs a CA equals true or not. We don't know that answer yet. The pathlen parameter indicates the maximum number of CAs that can appear below this one in a chain. So I'm getting the impression that CA is truly CA. It's like the top. There's no intermediate CA. There's only one CA to rule them all. So if you have a CA with a pathlen of 0, there's another idea for a t-shirt. CA. Self-signed root CA, an arrow pointing to your face. So totally stupid. I would never wear that. So if you have a CA with we have to make it more subtle. Maybe like a sticker or something. With a pathling of 0, it can only be used to sign end user certificates and not further CAs. These are open source ideas, by the way. So if you want to use my ideas and make merch with it, that's fine. Key usage. Key usage is a multi-value extension. Tell me about it so I can sell it and push it, though. Of a list of names of a permitted key. Okay. The supported names are digital signature. I read this last year when I was doing the Kubernetes setup. Non-repudiation, key encipherment, data encipherment, key agreement, key cert sign, CRL sign, cipher only, decipher only. And by the way, the reason I remember this is because if you look at the root CA for Let's Encrypt, it has decipher only. And so you can't use it for some of the stuff that you need to do for your own Kubernetes stuff. That was something we found out, that the limitation of the CA for Let's Encrypt, which apparently is, I'm going to use the right term here now that I know it, a key usage extension. I'm going to use the right words here. So the Let's Encrypt, let me see if I can say this properly. The Let's Encrypt CA and the certificates that come from it has a key usage, a basic multi-value extension that does not include the permitted key usage names that allow it to do what Kubernetes needs. Whew! There we go. Example, key usage equals ignition non-repudiation. Key usage of critical key cert sign. So key cert sign obviously is a big one for the CA. If it's an end certificate, you don't want key cert sign in there because there's no reason to sign shit. It's just a cert. Anyway, extended key usage. This extensions, because English, I think they meant this extension, or these extensions. I'm just guessing, English and all. It consists of a list of usages indicating purposes for which the certificate public key can be used for, comma. Okay, I'm not impressed by this writing right now. Dangling preposition, less than a sentence. Maybe I should have went to the web version of the man page. I need a these can either be object short names or the dotted numerical form of OIDs. While any OID can be used, only certain values make sense. In particular, the following PKIX and MS values are meaningful. Extended key usage. TLS web server. Oh, well, that's very useful information. So the comment is from the bread. Yeah, let's encrypt certs just have X509v3 extended key usage, TLS web server authentication plus TLS web client authentication. That's interesting because that's not listed here. So wait. Hold up a minute. Are those the exact names of the keys that were used? TLS space web space server space authentication, or is that a long form of a shortened key usage name? I think it is. I think what you're saying is that, yeah, there it is. Okay, I found it. Never mind. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. So somebody in the chat posted that this is for the TLS only have these two, but they use the long name and not the short name. That means that if I were to look at the OpenSSL conf file that was used to create those certs on Let's Encrypt, that the root CA would have these key usage, permitted key usage names, server auth and client auth. Okay. And those are the actual values, not the long form names. And when you do OpenSSL with text, it says this, right? But this, if you were to look in the stuff, it would have this. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I mean, we're going to get there, right? So we're going to actually do that. Okay, so key usage equals critical key cert sign. I think critical says to override anything else that appears in the file, but I don't know if that's what that means. I think they did mention that earlier, but I don't remember. As a number with, internally inside of the thing, dir plus ASN. Do you know? I'm just curious of the internal format of the 509 certs. I'm the kind of guy who wants to see the binary format and see if they're doing some kind of like bitwise mathematics to get all of the stuff that has been signed with. I assume so. I assume there's probably a bit field in there and it has a finite number of bit fields and those things get flipped and then you can do bitwise math to get the actual value. I'm the guy who wants to know the exact binary format of the cert. If anybody knows that, by the way, that would definitely have to be something I would want to get paid for. Finding out that's the kind of information. It's like gray. It's like, dude, just do your job, right? But I like understanding that stuff. So, but let me give you an example. If you really want to understand TCP/IP, go look at the binary structure of the packets. It's amazing. It's very, very fascinating. You can see the fields that aren't used. You can see the encapsulated envelopes and all that stuff. Instead of just passing your Cisco CA cert, actually understanding what the packets look like and what their binary definition is that's been locked in stone since the beginning of time is super duper interesting to me. Did you find it? It's in RFC. And that's actually when you're going to find an RFC, by the way. It's also when you're going to find things written in ABNF. ABNF does not allow the use of strings in its meta language definition because it forces anything that could be misinterpreted, commas, quotes and stuff like that, to be specified with this particular format. I'm kind of geeking out because I really, really love meta languages that describe grammars, which is why I made Pagan. And there's a version of Pagan 2023 still coming out. It's not out yet, but I still want to come back and work on that. But if you want to understand the binary format of things as specified by the Internet Standards Committee, you must learn ABNF. And if you want to learn how languages are written and processed in very strict forms, you need to learn EBNF. So, and ASN is actually another format as well, another language. So these things for the advanced technologists, I'm just mentioning them as kind of a sidebar here. Learning those things for an advanced tech, if you want to take your tech skills to the next level, then learn those unnecessary meta languages. And I promise you, your skills and your understanding will shoot through the roof because you can actually go straight to the effing manual, which is the specification, and understand it. And most people never do that. Most people never do that. Raise your hand if you've actually learned ABNF and EBNF so that you can better understand the definition of language and syntax and structure, such as, I don't know, everything that's ever been written for TCP/IP and UDP. A few people have taken it on to do that, and it's usually not. Frankly, it's never assigned. That's not the kind of thing anybody's ever going to assign you to do, and they definitely don't cover it in college. Like, it improves your salary. If it improves your salary, I'm going to learn it. LDAP is completely defined by ASN.1, and ASN.1 grammar is in ABNF. There you go. ASN1 gets some hate because implementations are not secure, and that's yeah. Whenever, people always mention ASN when they see me working on pegging, so that's been kind of a breaky standard kind of thing. And look, it's not going to make you money, but it's going to definitely make you more qualified. I think it will make you more money personally. I don't know when you're going to get a chance to brag about knowing ABNF and to your higher ups. Frankly, your higher ups probably don't know it. The chances are the person you work for who makes twice as much money as you has no idea how to interpret an RFC. Am I wrong? Anyway, let's keep going. So, sir, this is the job, people. The job is reading, really cryptic, arcane, definitions of things and learning them quickly and turning them around so they produce value. That's the job. That's what you're signing up for. As Learn with Leon says, that is the culture you have signed up for if you have joined a tech job. I don't care what the job is. You've signed up for just-in-time learning, random esoteric things that are never going to be specifically called out for you to learn. And if you went to your boss and said, "Hey, can I take Friday to learn ABNF?" They would say, "Hell no." But you got to learn it anyway. So that's what you're signing up for. I'm just warning you. Value, meanings. Okay, so here are some very specific ones that are going to show up in our keys. Let's go ahead and read them. Server auth, client auth, code signing, email protection, timestamping. I've only seen server auth and client auth. I don't think I've seen any of the other ones in production. In fact, I know I haven't. Those are the only ones I've ever seen. Now, what I want to know, and this is probably be in the RFC, is there a finite number of them? I assume so, if they're bitwising them together. That this at the end of the day, that's just an enumeration. So yeah. Excel and Google Sheets instead of open up consultancy. Absolutely. You'll make more money that way. Yeah. Yep. Bolano Torres says, what does Bolano Torres says? What's that saying? Engineers create civilizations. Warriors get all the credit, but engineers create civilizations. There's a really great quote from Bolano Torres from Star Trek Voyager, which is my favorite. Subject key identifier. This is really a key extension. You can take two possible values, either the word hash, which is automatic. Hex string gives you extension of the value included. To use the hex string is strongly discouraged. To use the hex string is strongly discouraged. Tell that to everybody who's ever recommended not to use octal and schmod commands. And then everybody proceeds. I'm that guy. You should not use octal. Proceeds to use octal. Authority key identifier. The authority key identifier expansion permits two options: key ID and issuer. Key ID and issuer. This is where we identify an intermediate cert, I have a feeling. If the key ID option is present, an attempt is made to copy the subject key identifier from the parent certificate. If the value always is present, then an error is returned if the option fails. The issuer option copies the issuer and serial number from the issuer certificate. This will only be done if the key ID option fails and it's not included unless it's always flagged. I think that's how we identify a root CA and an intermediate CA, but we'll have to come back to that one. Prom TV TV, how are you? Nice. That's good. I'm glad you felt good. Yeah. Yeah. But languages are tools. Subject alternative name. A subject alternative name extension allows various literal keys and values. These include emails. Okay, so this is how you set up the metadata. DNS domain. I have a feeling this is actually included a lot. So URI, DNS I know is used. IP, which we are not going to use because it's locked down only to one IP, and we want to do. That's why we set up our public-facing internal IP DNS registry. It's not an oxymoron, I promise. Dir name. The email option includes a special copy value. This will automatically include any email addresses. And the certificate subject name from, so you can copy it from the other one. Oh, that's nice. Okay. The IP address used, this is a full-blown syntax. This is a full-blown language, my friends. It's not just INI, that's for damn sure. The IP address using the IP, I want to find what the dollar is, if they can do string inserts, which I think you can. The IP address using the IP option can be either IPv6 or IPv4 or 6. The value of dir name, I imagine that's changed. The value of dir name should point to a section containing the distinguished name. To use a set of name value pairs, multi-values, AVAs can be formed by prefacing the name with a plus character. I need to see an example of that. There we go. Okay, again, sorry for the colorization here. Other name can include arbitrary data associated with the OID. It probably stands for object ID. The value should be the OID followed by a semicolon. There we go. Oh, no, that's it's DNS related. Too much cyan. No, this is, it normally is white. And the OID should be followed by semicolon. ASN1 generated. To be fair, I have never learned officially ASN. I've learned ABNF and EBNF and wrote Pagan, but I have never made, I've never learned ASN. I need to add it to the list. Right now, I'm learning the language, and let's pussyfoot around this. This is a fucking a effing language. Subject name, email, copy. That means copy the email from above, and then add some more email stuff, and then add the URI. Okay, subject alt name. I can use another example, I guess. IP, that's IPv6. Email my other address, RID134. What I want to know is if this is additive. I think it is. I think this would be additive to this. These are not meant to be on the same line. Other name, 1234, UTF-8 : some other identifier. Interesting. You can actually use a UTF-8 identifier. Very nice. That means you can put emojis in there. Probably shouldn't, though. Did it state the encoding format for the file? I bet it's ASCII. I bet it's ASCII and not UTF-8. It didn't say so, though. So that's a big thing people forget to mention all the time. Subject, alt name, dir name, dirsec. Okay. We still haven't come across how to do, let me use the right wording here, extension substitution, which I think is going to be the $, just like any other string in any language. The issue alternative name option supports the literal options of subject alternative name. It does not support the email copy option because that would not make sense. Of course not. It does support an additional issuer copy option that will copy all the subject alternative names. Man, this is why people don't like OpenSSL. And this is why they don't like it. I'm just going to say it. And this is a full-blown language with a lot of weird, side edge cases and caveats. Word of the day. The authority information access extension gives details about how to access certain information related to the CA. Its syntax is access OID location where location. Why is semicolon? Why does that one a semicolon and the other one's a colon? Oh my God. Location. Can we just be grateful for YAML and JSON? Location where location has the same syntax as this. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? Same syntax as the subject alternative name, except that email : copy is not supported. This is like the English language, or the Rust language. Access OID can be any valid. Yeah, I did that. Valid OID, but only certain values that are meaningful. For example, OCSP and oh my God, so many, but this and that. So you should say read in this case and say read in that case, except for when you're saying this. All right, CRL distribution points. This is a multi-valued extension whose object can either be the name value pair. All right, I'm running out of stuff here. Footgun, 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 footgun. Yes, amen. Footgun is a term for things that you shoot yourself in your foot because they're poorly designed. This is why people don't like OpenSSL. This is a multi-valued extension. This is like when they get an OpenSSL config file that works, they like hold on to it with their life. This is a multi-valued extension whose options can be, same with the bash RC, by the way, and same value pairs. We don't need distribution points. We don't care. We don't care. I don't think we care. How about that? No. This config language is Erlang. Actually, Erlang is a pretty damn good config language. Yeah. Simple examples. All right, that doesn't answer our question. Issuing distribution point. Names reasons the answer is not recognized. Only this has got to be one of the most poorly designed configuration formats I have ever seen. And I kind of want to know who made it so I can forever tank them. That's not fair. I've made shit that if people judge me based on that, it would not be fair. So the names only user, only CA, only AA, and incorrect CR are also accept. This is so bad. This is why they want to use anything that uses, YAML or JSON. This is why people reach for those other tools, because this is totally stupid. The names only user, only CA, only AA, and indirect CR are also accepted values of Booleans. At least now you know why, right? So you can't say you don't like it until you try it. Right? Did your mom teach you that? Indirect, or your dad or whatever, your parent, significant parental figure, how about that? Indirect CRL is true, some reasons, only some reasons. Key promise, issuer sect. Certificate policies is a raw extension. Oh my God, this is so bad. Halfway through this man page. Spoiler alert. Oh, I should go faster then, huh? Yeah. At least people know why when I throw out OpenSSL and start doing the hated Cloudflare. Look, very respectable professionals use CFSSL, so I'm not attacking them. They got no time for this crap, and I don't blame them. Name constraints permitted. OSCP no check. There's probably not even a validator for this, other than the tool itself is like, I'm sorry, line 27 does not work because of reasons. TLS features. Its identifier might be a number between 0 and 65535. Damn. God. They wrote an RFC for this, yeah? So to be fair, the RFC is probably easier to read than this. Netscape specific and largely obsolete. Okay, I have to laugh at that one. And by the way, they're not talking about Netscape web browser. They're probably talking about the Netscape server, which we actually paid money for at Nike. The following extensions are non-standard, Netscape specific, and largely obsolete. That needs to go on a t-shirt too, because that's pretty much Netscape in a nutshell. It's also the reason Mark Andreessen is a fucking moron. There, I said it. I don't care. Hate me all you want. Their use in new applications is discouraged. So Netscape string extensions, Netscape comments. They put a face on this. No, they didn't. Yeah, I'm just gonna blame Mark Andreessen. I blame him for everything. Fucking billionaire asshole. one of the biggest ones. This is what I don't want to get. No. Netscape comments is a string extension containing a comment which will be displayed when the certificate is viewed in some browsers. NS comment equals some random comment. Other support extensions in this category are NS base revocation URL. NS. They actually added NS extensions to the RFC specification to deal with Netscape. That's like discovering that, what is it, 90% of our DNA is viruses. Are you kidding me? The bread? Netscape used to crash if you put a UTF-8 string type in a cert. So everyone's stuck, an actual UTF-8 string type. So everyone's stuck with the weird IA5 string type for years because of Netscape? Okay. Wait. I have something very important to do. There. That's going to be more merch. Mark Andreessen is a fucking moron. Did I spell his name right? Oh, I'm going to let you look it up. Oh my God, he's such a fucking shit stain. I'm sorry, I hate him more than Dennis hates Mr. Oracle. What's his name? I do. I hate him. Do I want to kill him? No. That's not what I'm suggesting. I just fucking hate him. I hate that he exists. I hate that his ilk exist and his shit-stained wife. Oh my God. Go read what they've actually done. Just watch what they've done. By their fruits ye shall know them, right? Christians, go look at what they've actually done. And here's another thing they did. They completely fucked up a totally good SSL certificate standard because they're idiots. Time for me to breathe. My stepson's going to come in. He's going to get all worried. Okay. They created, Mark Andreessen single-handedly created the browser wars. And Microsoft joined in and said, yeah, this will be fun. Because Bill Gates. Mark Andreessen is the worst of a human being even than Bill Gates. Although he's not a pedophile as far as we know. I'm not saying Bill Gates is a pedophile. I'm saying he might be a pedophile. Which is also going to keep him from getting sued. I mean, come on. The guy hung out with Epstein. Like Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton and everybody else. Okay, anyway, here we go. Netscape certificate types. This is a multi-valid extension which consists of a list of flags to be included. It was used to indicate the purpose for which a certificate could be used. The basic constraints, key usage, and extended key usage extensions are now used inside. The more money they have, the more likely they are to know Brian Epstein and be a pedophile. Or to kick multi-user housing out of their real estate contract, out of their real estate area because they don't want their property values to go down. That is a matter of fact based on Andreessen's wife. She's such a horrible person. Philanthropy. Bullshit. Arbitrary extensions. If an extension is not supported by the OpenSSL code, then it must... The only reason I even talked about that is because I was not expecting to run into Mark Andreessen bullshit while evaluating OpenSSL, but apparently it's there. The extent to which this asshole has ruined things in addition to fixing things is very large, and people don't know. They don't even know who he is. And he doesn't give a shit. He's on his yacht someplace pulling a Wolf of Wall Street. If an extension is not supported by the OpenSSL code, then it must be encoded using the arbitrary extension format. It is also possible to use the arbitrary format for a supported extension. Extreme care should be taken to ensure that the data is formatted correctly for the given extension type. There are two ways to encode arbitrary extensions. I don't want to do arbitrary extensions. We already talked about this. I'm out of here. You know what? They probably added arbitrary extensions to avoid future Netscape problems. I don't even want to talk about this. This is going to make me angry. I need to take a break. I already ate something, but I need to take a break and drink wine or something. There is no guarantee that a specific implementation will process. Look, I made it through OpenSSL almost without getting upset. I think I was doing really good until I saw the Netscape stuff. Would you agree? He allegedly is a nonce. I mean, y'all hate OpenSSL. You think I'm a sadist just for going through this, or is that right? Masochist or sadist? I can never remember the difference between the two. One of them is hurt yourself. The other one's hurt others. Sadomasochist is the one who hurts themselves, yeah? Or the one that likes to hurt themselves and have others hurt them? I don't know. I'm one of those things for reading OpenSSL. I made it entirely through this, at least 50% of this thing, until I had to deal with Mark Andreessen. Due to the behavior of OpenSSL conf library, the same file, I was not expecting that. That hit me out of left field, which is a baseball euphemism that I have no reference for, but I use all the time because I'm American. Have you ever thought about how polluted our language is by sports metaphors in America? Okay, alt section email equals Steve at here. Poor Steve, whoever Steve is. Won't recognize us. Okay, I think we're done. I think we're done. This is the point at which I did my due diligence trying to understand it, and now it's time to just use somebody else's version and change the values. And now I know. Sadist is doing it to others. Masochist is yourself. Okay, thank you. We still do not have an answer for this tilde dir. So we can only assume that this means refer to the thing that was referred to earlier. So yeah. So OpenSSL root copy to root ca OpenSSL.cnf. See, the problem is that root I think they changed the standard location. That's what I think this tutorial is wrong, actually. I just read that, right? It said that there's a new place for it and it's not root ca, right? So I suspect that this information is incorrect. It says root ca open. I think it's trying to do that because you're going to use it in the right spot, but I don't know that that's true. OpenSSL.cnf. Yeah, move OpenSSL to CNF. Is that it? Is that what it said? Yeah, OpenSSL to CNF. Okay. Okay. We're going to go change some other things here. Let's take a break. We're going to take a break and listen to music and drink wine. Try to get our composure back, and then we're going to go through this file and suffer through OpenSSL because we got to know it. Even if I refuse to do something else until I at least know OpenSSL. Talk to you soon.